So I spoke about this. We've always been at the forefront of tech innovation. Now, very few companies have these pocket to cloud kind of offerings, and you look at the width. You have something which fits into your pocket, which is a Motorola phone. You have the iconic ThinkPad. You have Yoga. You have Legion. You have IdeaPad. There's a whole suite of products and brands that we are able to offer to our customers. And today we are here to talk about one product from the Think family. All of us know that shelf life of brands and technology can be very, very short. There are a lot of iconic brands that we grew up with, which have died out in 20, 30 years at max. But last year we celebrated 30 years of Think. And this year we celebrated 50 years of Motorola. So two very large iconic brands that we are able to innovate on and keep growing rather than let them die. And Think is something, there's a lot of fandom for this brand. One of the most beautifully engineered product, one of the most reliable, one of the most rugged. The number of claims that a ThinkPad has in terms of it mil specs, it's the first one to go into space, first one to go into Mount Everest. There's a lot of design and robust engineering which is there in the Think DNA. But not just laptops, we have ThinkSystem, which is our server portfolio. We have ThinkStation, which is what we are talking about today, which is what I'm carrying. So anyone wants to have a look. Beautifully designed phone. There are very few enterprise grade phones which are available now, because the market has got commoditized into very basic Android phones. But if you want enterprise grade security, enterprise grade reliability, ruggedness, there's nothing better than Think phone. So again, a very iconic brand. It's been around for 30 years. And the way we've innovated across from pocket to cloud on this brand has been just outstanding. With that, this is the product that we are here to talk about today. This is the ThinkStation family. We are going to expand the family. But before we get into the specifics of the product, I want to talk about two partnerships. And you would have seen this in the videos, you would have seen it in collateral around. We are the design partner. In fact, the product that we are launching today has been co-designed with Aston Martin. So look at the linkage. There's a beautifully designed car, and then there's a beautiful piece of technology. But the design elements are kind of common. And we've also been the technology partner for DreamWorks for the last few years, which is why you saw the panda on the screen as I opened my presentation. So all the beautiful content that you enjoy with your family as they hit the screens, we are proud of the fact that they've all been created on ThinkStations. These are not the only partnerships. We are the partner for Formula One. We are the partner with Ducati. So a lot of performance or heavy compute requirement is where we are going in with our partnerships. So that's the short introduction I wanted to give. With that, if I can hand over to Ajay.
Thanks, Sardar, and good afternoon to everyone. We have started experiencing the use cases of 5G, starting from gaming to a lot of enterprise use cases like private network, which is initially at the, I would say, the nascent stage for manufacturing companies, but it's picking up. Sardar was talking about generative artificial intelligence, which obviously is again, big change. People are talking about for quite some time, platforms like ChatGPT, Bard, DALL-E. So there are a few of these platforms are there, and I was giving an example to one of our friends that a couple of months back I was in Delhi, and one of the travel company, they told me that they have deployed 20 engineers for doing R&D on ChatGPT. So travel company spending on 20 R&D engineers only to work on that what kind of business models they are able to develop on ChatGPT, because nobody wants to keep their business. When these new technologies are coming up, all our users, both in the large enterprise spaces as well as small organizations, including freelancers, and I am sure a few of you are also experiencing on a day-to-day basis that the files on which you work or the applications on which you have to work in your notebook, those are becoming more complex. The level of graphics expectation, the video expectation is becoming very complex. File sizes are becoming heavy. And to manage that complexity, heaviness, size, you also need devices which takes care of and gives you the better efficiency for your organization, and also gives you an edge when you are working on any of the project. So since we are working in that direction, and the objective of today's meeting is also that there is a new series of workstations which caters to these kind of complex requirements. We are in the hall actually to launch. But before we do that, we thought that we should also invite one of our customer who is also undergoing these kind of experiences, who is also undergoing and facing, these kind of challenges. The world is becoming dynamic for them. The work is becoming more and more complex, but obviously there is also a competition. So how they are managing this kind of working environment and how they are coping up with the help of the overall portfolio. So in this session, the objective is not to talk about Lenovo story. The objective is to talk about the product requirement. So let me invite and welcome you, Mr. Madhusudan Kohli, who needs no introduction. Actually, he is veteran in the media housing, which I was just referring to. So before I go back, Madhu, to you, as I was talking about that this session is not to talk about Lenovo, but this session is to talk about what is the kind of complexities which our enterprise customers are facing, and especially in the media house, what kind of challenges which you are undergoing and how you are coping up. Because being an IT leader, one of your responsibility is to give the right direction to the organization, so that the organization gets the right infrastructure in place, as well as also having an edge as compared to your competitors. So how you are coping up, first of all, with these kind of challenges?
We used to talk about speed, scale, agility, but I think what I've seen in my line of business in post-pandemic, the way IT had set the platform for the business, because nobody expected people to go and enable such a large-scale infrastructure to work remotely for such a long time. And something the expectation has grown. And in my line of business, previously it used to be, can this be done or not? And now it is, how soon this can be done.
Right.
That's the level of challenge where people now think that IT is in such a phase there, everything is plug and play level. And a lot depends upon, is also on the people, process, technology, because the convergence of that will transform into the part of my strategy and other things, a lot of things that we do is spending time on how do we go and enable our end users on various technologies, including the desktops, workstations. Right. But tell me quite how often the people would still go and look upon a workstation as a strategic asset for their organizations. Not many people would do that. And something, even when I started doing the transformation for my organization, I'm in the 10th year, but unfortunately, when I walked into the organization almost 10 years ago, we had a lot of legacy infrastructure going on, right? We had almost about the machines then were also almost about 10 years old, running on Windows XP and something, I was just wondering how they're operating on that. When I started doing my digital transformation, I think when I realized the state of the end user affairs, I actually took a step back, went back to my business leadership and said, I am just pausing all my digital initiatives on that. And something I'm going to focus on my end user experience. That's why you're reading that the function I had, I named it as a user experience. Because for me, even my end user is a strategic asset. Most often people think about desktops, workstation, laptops as a commodity item. But how that can be a commodity when your almost 100% of user base is spending at least 6 to 8 hours on that asset. It plays a very, very important role on your productivity and efficiency. For us internally on that, when I started shaping up and I looked at this, how do I go and enable that? Because those 8,000-10,000 users were actually going to transform our business when strategically I wanted to do application transformation or whatever business transformation, we wanted to enable that. For us, it's even carry certain values because number of these, my people, primarily the workstations are in use. We are a publishing industry. We have editors, we have creative designers, and number of power users there. Lot many times their even own performance and performance variables depend on-time release of newspaper. And if I'm not giving them an asset which is really enabling them to do their job efficiently, then it literally impacts us. We internally use a term called LPRS, which is last page release. It all depends if they have timely release, that's how their variables and number of other things are tied. And for me, it's very, very important to make sure that they are able to very effectively and efficiently do that. Like Shailendra was talking about, when I form my IT strategy, every year we look at this, we form a 3-year roadmap. Most of the time when CIOs, CXOs, they form their business strategy, they look at from a larger perspective on that. But I think they miss this part. But I make sure I sit with my team. I look at into this thing because while your transformation may happen over 3 to 5 years, but that asset is going to exist in the organization for at least 5 years. This is for sure, right? We have seen how faster the transformation is happening. I was in another panel discussion just last week and I said, before pandemic, we were talking about Industry 4.0 initiatives. Then post-pandemic, we started talking about 3.0, and now today, I have not heard anybody talking about Tech 4.0, Web 3.0, it is all ChatGPT. So the innovations have become so faster, but if you look at these assets in the organization, at least in my organization, those people at least use for 5 years.
Right.
And my focus when I go and design my strategy, my architecture is always not just on the existing, what they're doing, is also on emerging. And that's how I decide, what kind of an infrastructure we have to land.
So you're referring to one that, the workstation as an example, and you're saying that next 4 years, 5 years. But I just want to understand from you, and especially for our audience, that when you understand the complexities and how complex your job is becoming and how demanding the overall job is becoming. So what kind of features? Because I'm trying to emphasize more on, because there is a perception that normal PC can take care of my job. When I just put a normal graphics card and it takes care of that job. Whereas we are trying to emphasize on that all these complexities can be met in a very efficient manner, with the help of workstations. So when you go for workstations, what are the kind of features which you critically look after before taking any decisions?
Correct, and that's what I said. Still, you're right. A number of people actually think about desktop as a commodity or a laptop as a commodity, whereas this is a very important asset because that's driving your productivity, efficiency. That's the area where you spend your 8 to 9 hours and thinking about all your creative juices actually flow on that seat.
Right.
The first thing I actually do is we do the user profiling. So my team sits with the user. I actually run focus groups as well, just on that, what kind of an experience they want, the end user, and primarily for my power user because they spend more time with them on that. The other thing is when our people work, primarily the publishing side, the color gamut matters a lot for us because a lot of times when we print this, you see the front page ads, there are a lot of times it could be a Lenovo ad, it could be other people as well. And you carry, that ad carries a meaning. And those color contrasts, those ratios, we do keep on doing those innovations, how the jackets are flowing in. So these graphics designers really spend a lot of time on that. They need very powerful machines. We use multimedia software where the RGB contrast ratio has to be at least about 99% on that so that the color contrast and everything is looking nicely on that. What they do on the machine exactly has to come out on the newspapers on that.
Listening to us and getting this conversation is always valid. Thank you. Our Lenovo ThinkStation PX series, which is a new generation series in the workstation category, co-designed by Aston Martin. We have on the screen and which we're going to see physically also, powered by a 4th generation Intel Xeon processor along with NVIDIA GPU.
Caballero. I'm the Director of the Global Advanced Solutions Marketing, focusing on our workstation business, our OEM, and our smart collaboration business. I'm so excited to be here with all of you today. I'm excited that we have launched this amazing product line in front of all of you here in India. Awesome. And so in light of this amazing launch, I want to give you a little bit of information on how we ended up with this amazing. We want to make sure that we really focus on those Think brand attributes. We cannot compromise innovation. We cannot compromise quality. We also need to be very purposeful. And so the design of a powerhouse workstation has to be able to apply across many different industries and be able to be configured for a multitude of workloads. Those elements are how this workstation design really came about. That collaboration, working with the Aston Martin team. How do they design the most luxurious car in the world? And how do we apply that design concept to a ThinkStation desktop professional product? I'll tell you how. It starts with the idea. The idea that we have brand equity that's tied to the Lenovo name. Our red color is exemplary, it's powerful, and it demonstrates a brand equity that we at Lenovo build trust and relationships with our customers. Aston Martin also thinks color is very important. That is why the design was focused on the red color that they've put into their DBS line. That red color is now part of what you see on the outside of our chassis. It is also, yes, absolutely amazing. It is also an indicator of all the touch points that allow you for the modular accessibility of all the components without a tool. How creative is that? Again, we want to design and turn dreams into a reality. Creativity is sparked by ingenuity. And ingenuity is really important when you're being tested, when you're testing the limits, when you're driving configuration and capabilities that are changing the world with the applications and the solutions that our designers and creators do every day. Performance is an optimal key differentiator. We are the top performer in this industry. We can go up to a multitude of cores with the latest Intel technology, as well as a multitude of GPUs that allow for design, innovation, and high-end performance. The flexibility of our configuration allows you to go up to that level of configuration, or optimize for whatever your workload is, depending on the industry. You could be in healthcare, you could be in manufacturing, all in the same, the product will optimize based on your needs. And then serviceability. I mentioned that we have red touch points. How important is it to easily access every component of our device without needing a tool? That is a serviceability factor that drives our innovation. And that is what you will experience when you open up our ThinkStation P series. And then finally, but not least, airflow. Thermal management is an enhancement to true performance. You cannot perform without making sure that all of your components are equally being cooled and are equally receiving airflow in a manner that will allow your workstation to never compromise performance. And that is why the airflow that's focused on the outside of a vehicle like an Aston Martin that drives at optimal speeds and performs in rigorous environments, that airflow management starts with the grille. And the grille of this Aston Martin beautiful car is resembled on the grille of our ThinkStation P series. That allows for our thermal design to enhance our patented tri-channel cooling capability. that is also complemented with a baffle that was also designed by this engineering team. That air baffle manages the airflow from the front of the system all the way to the back of the system, allowing for optimal performance and better productivity. And when you have a design that is so amazing with this red color, why not just expand it across the entire ThinkStation portfolio, including our ThinkPad P series products, which are also professional class workstations, and also now exemplify the red that is seen on this beautiful chassis. Every pro user will fulfill their expectations, will be able to accomplish the dreams that they have creatively designed by using our professional workstation line in order to optimize that experience for how they produce whatever it is that their creative powers allow them to produce. And everything is all on the basis of performance, reliability, and quality of our ThinkStation line, so that our designers and creators, engineers, and research and developers can think anything and make everything. This iconic design has also received the 2023 Best Design Award. I don't even hear the enthusiasm. The 2023 Red Dot Best Design Award. What an amazing accomplishment for us to receive this award in a product that we just launched. That goes to tell you the possibilities are endless. Our unique selling position is also structured specifically around the voice of the customer. You heard a lot of my colleagues earlier talk about how this transformation is driving a lot more requirements. A lot of requirements that are really pushing the limits as it pertains to the type of workloads that you can see in the different industries, like architecture, engineering, and construction, or perhaps media and entertainment, as you heard our DreamWorks customer developing and designing movies for all of the generations to come. Healthcare and life sciences, energy, all of these industries are transforming, and they need the power of a ThinkStation in order to cultivate their vertical solutions. And those solutions are what are going to change the world. So without further ado, I'd like to introduce Mahesh, who's going to give you a very technical product tour.
Team or a system administration team or a manageability or the serviceability, how easy is this machine, and the key features about this P10, right? So firstly, I think our team spoke about Aston Martin aerodynamic thermal design, right? So we have taken that design and implemented here, right? The front grille, we've taken this Aston Martin design. How this will be useful, I'll just open the machine and I'll share you the details, right? And we claim this machine as 100% toolless chassis, which means we can remove every component in this machine without any tools, without any screwdrivers or anything, right? So 100% toolless chassis, right? And one important feature in this machine is this machine, P10, comes with 120 core processor, Sapphire Rapids processor, right? We are the only one in the industry to cater 120 core CPU currently, right? Number two, how much is the memory? It's 2 GB, up to 2 GB the memory is scalable, right? Number three, what's the graphic card? The highest graphic card from NVIDIA is RTX A6000 ADA graphic card, which is 48 GB. We can accommodate up to 4 graphic of this. 192 GB graphic card can be scaled in this particular machine. One of the important features, this is the first machine to come with dual power supply. What that means, this has redundant power supply. When one PSU fails, we have another PSU. Machine will be up and running. So we are the first one to have this category of redundant power supply on our workstation category machine, right? Which means P10 is the first one to have on a workstation category. We are the first. This is the first machine to have redundant power supply. And as I mentioned, 100% toolless, right? When I say 100% toolless, every component can be pulled in without any tool, right? Next, let me just open and show you how this machine looks from the inside, right? So, can you see this machine, right? It's well designed, and when we spoke about Aston Martin aerodynamic thermal design, right, which helps keep this machine cooler, because this is a powerhouse. Definitely with 4 GPU, with dual CPU up to 124, the machine will generate some heat, right? So how this machine, the technology keeps this machine cooler is where this particular design, where from here the cold air will be sucked in from here, and this is the tri-channel cooling technology, which is patented by Lenovo. This is the air baffle, which drives the cold air, and which where the hot air comes from the behind. When we see this, right, how does this cold air goes in this direction and hot air exits? All our fans are designed in one direction, where every air, you can see this is the fans, right? Everything is direction in rear mode, right? So if we remove here fan, so we don't have multiple fans in multiple designs, right? In multiple positions. Everything is designed so that the machine is kept cooler. How does it help? Machine is cooler, the performance is higher. Machine gets heated up, the performance gets, right? And one of the unique, I would call this as a silent feature, right? We all have this wireless card, which we use it on our desktop machines or on desktop workstation, where the antenna will be popping out, right? How does this machine help? So we have on top, we have a cover, chassis cover, wherein the integrated Wi-Fi card can be actually kept here and cover the lid, so that there is no any of the Wi-Fi antenna which will be popping out. This is
I'd like to show you a video just to give you a little bit more of the highlights of the design.
Comes to the ultimate, it requires execution with precision in every detail, in every step. Power to set you free. Co-designed with Aston Martin, masters of iconic design and performance engineering, featuring a breakthrough dual processor platform. Superior graphics support to handle the most extreme workloads. The epitome of form and function, with an innovative modular design and unrivaled accessibility. With an advanced thermal architecture to push out maximum component performance. Optimized for both desktops and data centers to run complex workflows seamlessly. Expand your realm of possibility, because at this elite level of performance, your brilliance will be truly tested. What will your legacy be?
ThinkStation series. And my quick introduction, I'm Akshay. I'm the director of the PC client category. Go into the presentation. I wanted to spend a few minutes giving you some context about how the technology landscape is accelerating and how Intel is really going to be driving this going forward. So a lot of the speakers today, have already talked about, right? There's a tremendous explosion in a demand for technology, right? There's an insatiable demand. And the reason for that is, obviously the rise of AI, right? Generative AI is a big factor in all of this, all of you know it. in the rise of pervasive connectivity, with the 5G rollout. And then if you just see the scale and ramp of the cloud and the edge infrastructure, means that there's a tremendous demand, not just for technology, but also for data consumption that is driven by these technologies. Expect that to accelerate to more than $1 trillion in revenue before the end of the decade. Now, that's a great leap, right, in technology, and we believe that Intel is uniquely positioned to drive this, right? Because Intel is probably one of the very few players that not only design and develop processors and other parts of the semiconductor chain, but we also build, for, not just for ourselves, but going forward with our IDM 2.0 strategy, we are also investing in building for others. So Intel would be an end-to-end player in the semiconductor ecosystem. And if you see, we are well on track to our promise of delivering 5 process nodes in 4 years. Not just that, but you all know Intel as the leader behind processors, right? So we develop end-to-end solutions, right? On a single socket, our flagship Xeon W3400 series offers up to 56 cores in one single socket, right? And if you compare that with our previous generation, which would be the Cascade Lake and Ice Lake series, this is double the number of cores in a single socket, right? So we have doubled the core count going from the previous generation to this generation. We offer up to 4.8 gigahertz of Turbo Boost Max 3.0 frequency. It's tremendous performance gains, not just in single-threaded workload, but also in multi-threaded workloads. Now, from a memory perspective, we offer up to 4 terabytes of DDR5 memory across up to 8 channels. What does this mean for the data scientists? It means that they can get higher performance when they do things like in-memory profiling or in-memory analytics for their workloads compared to our previous generation. Right? So there's tremendous memory capacity that we are offering here. Now, from a platform connectivity standpoint, we offer up to 112 lanes of PCI Gen 5 from the CPU, which means there's a lot of room for system expansion, right? So a lot of choice for, to connect all the peripherals you want, GPUs you want, and so on. And last but not least, this platform is great for AI developers, for AI workstation users. With
Dream India Network, along with support from various local bodies to revive these superbugs. Lenovo's technology ecosystem shall work towards facilitating digital inclusion and market linkages in these formats. Lenovo volunteers, while working the regular jobs from the lush neighborhoods of London, shall contribute towards this mission of military revival.
Normal hard disk over here. Over here you can have your SSDs or the same thing again. I think all the antennas will come over here and it will not pop out. It will be still intact. Everything is covered, everything can be just pulled out. The same way if you have to push it in, easily.
It is same machine goes for say 2000